Rob Dorset, and we can speak to him now. Rob, great to see you as always. Let's just start with the starting 11 for tomorrow night against Denmark then. What might Gareth Southgate be thinking if he does want to freshen up the starting side?
Well, it's an interesting one, Emma, because I don't think he's going to make many changes, if any. It's very possible that England could go with exactly the same starting 11 for Denmark as they did for the opening game on Sunday night against Serbia. But let's just show you some shots we've taken literally 2 minutes ago of the England team bus coming past us outside the team hotel here in Weimarland, this luxury golf resort. Gareth Southgate, you can't see him. I'd like to tell you we can see him, but in the previous tournaments, you've been able to see through the windows of the England team bus. They've got blacked out windows now. We can't see a thing. But Gareth Southgate always sits at the front there with Steve Holland. And I wonder what he's thinking right now. He'll be considering exactly what changes to make, if any. As I say, I think it'll be a very similar starting 11 to the one that played against Serbia. But the biggest probably topic of discussion is England's central midfield, where in the second half, let's be honest, England was second best to Serbia for large periods of time. They weren't able to dominate possession and have the control that they had in the first half, brilliant as they were in the first half. And part of that query is Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's being used in a different role to the one he plays with Liverpool. With Liverpool, he's a right-back who, when Liverpool have got the ball, he drops into midfield. But when they defend, he goes back to right-back. With England, he's supposed to stay central. And so it's more of a central defensive midfield role for Trent Alexander-Arnold, more of a quarterback role where he sprays the passes around. And let's show you some statistics, because I think this is really interesting, which shows you how Trent Alexander-Arnold is doing right now. And look, I don't want this to come across as too negative. Some people might interpret the stats that we're showing you now as negative. It's not, because Trent Alexander-Arnold has been asked to play a different role for England. But look at that. 1 tackle attempted, no tackles won. For a central defensive midfield player, people say, only regained possession once in the whole of the 90 minutes. But look at that bottom stat. Passing accuracy, 88% completed. He also completed the joint most long passes of any outfield player. And that's what Trent Alexander-Arnold is doing. That's what he's in the side for, to get England ticking. And his passing was brilliant for the large part against Serbia. So Southgate has a choice to make there. Does he want the passing ability of Alexander-Arnold, or does he want the industry of Conor Gallagher from Chelsea, the man who wins them back? Let's move on to the next graphic, the next statistics for you, because this will show you where Trent Alexander-Arnold played during Serbia. This is his heat map from the game. Look at it, it's almost entirely down the right-hand side, which we looked at the heat map of Alexander-Arnold for Liverpool this season. Exactly the same. So his natural instinct is to drift wide right, and maybe because he's never played there before and he's still learning the role, he doesn't drift into the middle as much when England haven't got the ball. I think it's really interesting. If Gareth Southgate is going to make a change, it might be there. Alexander-Arnold off, Conor Gallagher on. I don't think he'll do it. I think he'll stick with Alexander-Arnold. He's talked very openly and admirably about the work that Alexander-Arnold is doing there in learning the role, and all of those positives of his passing are huge for England. But I think those stats and that heat map show you he's still got a little bit to learn about playing in that central defensive midfield role.
You know what it is, Rob? I think you've hit the nail on the head, and I think England made a good start to this tournament. We watched every game, and you look at all the big favourites, you know, other than Spain and Germany, who played really, really well. The other big names that we're all talking about all stuttered a little bit, and I thought England played well, and I would not be surprised at all to see Gareth Southgate play the same 11, and I think he'd be right to do so. But typical England fans are all getting a bit worried, even though they got the 3 points on the board. And people talking about Harry Kane and it's just, you know, he didn't make an impact, but he still had a great opportunity. It was pushed onto the bar. He would have come away with a goal there in 99 times out of 100, and everyone would be saying, there he goes, Kane doing what he does best. What would you like to see in Kane's performance, or what would I suppose Gareth Southgate be looking for from Harry Kane differently in this next game, or is it more of the same?
Look, I think, Pete, we've got to be patient with Harry Kane. People have forgotten that he missed the final 3 games of the season for Bayern Munich with a back problem. He's 30 years old. He's played an awful lot of matches. 52 matches he's played for club and country this season. And so recovering from that back problem, it's not straightforward. It's not like an ankle knock. It's not like a dead leg. It's more difficult. It's more problematic. And England have got to nurture him a little bit. He will grow into the tournament, I'm sure, as he gets more match fitness and more match sharpness. Let's show you some of the statistics of Harry Kane in that first match. And look, they don't make great reading. They really don't. He wasn't great, Harry Kane, in that game. In the first half, he touched the ball once. And before injury time, he just couldn't get involved in it. But he's not match sharp yet. Look at this, look. 24 touches in total in the game. 22 of them were in the second half. Only one touch in an opponent's box, one shot. He very nearly scored from it, as you say, and should have scored. Only one dribble. Expected goals, 0.2. That means on the form he was and the chances he had, he'll score one goal every 5 games for England in that. That is not Harry Kane. Those stats you're looking at there are not the England captain. That's not what we're used to. But this is a shadow of the former England captain we're seeing right now because he's not fit. So Gareth Southgate will hope get more game time into his legs. 2 more group games to go. England have already virtually qualified because of the expanded tournament. 1 win, 1 more draw out of the final 2 games, they'll be there. So Gareth Southgate will be able to do what's best for the physical conditioning of Harry Kane going forward. So look, not great from the England captain. I have to be honest, he's been pretty poor for the last couple of games. Wasn't great against Iceland at Wembley in that final warm-up game either. But we all know what he's capable of. We know he's England's most important goal scorer, all-time leading goal scorer. I think it will come. We've probably just got to be a little bit patient.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of a reminder as well that he took a while to get going scoring-wise at the last Euros too. Rob, what Pete saying a minute ago about kind of the feeling amongst England fans back here after that opening game and the 1-0 win over Serbia. What is the general consensus of the English media out there in Germany about that first game, but also about what Gareth Southgate may or may not do tomorrow against Denmark?
It's a really interesting one because we all have long days out here, the English media, the newspapers, the radio, the TV, but we're all talking about the same thing exactly as the England fans are talking about it. Oh, England was so good for the first 35 minutes or so. They were so poor in the second half. What, is this a good start for England, a poor start? What needs to change? Look, I think Gareth Southgate will be delighted. They got an opening game win. Belgium didn't manage that. Belgium would absolutely snap England's hand off for where they are right now. And Pete was quite right. Only Germany and Spain have won handsomely in the first round of matches. And crucially, he got some game time into the legs. Harry Kane got a full 90 minutes. Bukayo Saka got 75. John Stones played so little football, got 90 minutes. Kieran Trippier was cramping up. He told me after the game, desperately needed that game time to get himself match fit and match sharp, as he's still recovering from a long-term injury as well. So all of those key players for England have got game time into their legs. And so we have to be, I think, a little bit more positive, maybe than even I have been, in assessing England of where they're at right now. After that dismal performance against Iceland at Wembley, England won the game. They've got some fitness into these players. They're building something. It's very, very rare that teams that go on to win a trophy are at their very best in the opening game of the tournament. They try and peak for later on in the tournament. That's what Gareth Southgate will be hoping that happens here. And actually, Phil Foden, who was heavily criticised as well after the game, by the way, can't seem to impact England as he does for Manchester City, has spoken to the newspapers. And let's show you exactly what he says, because I think this sums it up in truth. He was talking about his relationship with Jude Bellingham, who was obviously a superstar in the game. Our link-up play is good at times, and it's improving as well, and can keep getting better. So he's an exciting talent, and I enjoy playing with him. The reason that's been there, so much discussion about whether Foden and Bellingham can play in the same team. Foden then called for patience. The first game of a major tournament is always the most difficult, he said. It was important to get off to a winning start, and we did that. He's right. He's absolutely right, isn't he, Phil Foden, you have to say there. And so maybe maybe the rest of the English media, maybe some England supporters need to be a bit more positive, a bit more understanding, a bit more realistic, that this is a marathon, not a sprint. England started with a win. They can probably only get better from here.
Right, well, the positivity is exactly what we need on this Wednesday morning and ahead of that big game against Denmark tomorrow. Rob, thank you so much for the update, and we'll chat to you again soon.
Good stuff, Rob.